Okay. So I tried to get a list of the VIPs, even though I think it's a bit early because even 1.9 is not released, so there's no 1.10 schedule. But I think this is a pretty honest list at this point. Like I don't see anybody coming in with the VIP that's not in here. Maybe aside from the CBT related ones, I might be missing an existing one. So yeah, I just got the list together so we can talk about the potential for 110, um, or maybe for some of them we would straight up just kick it out or not commit to it. We can do any order. For example, we can just start with the first one, the IO thread for Verdioskazi. I mean, to me, there's nothing much to add, but Danny, if you want to say something, pretty straightforward.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was going to say, gotten some attention on the VIP and the KubeVirt implementation. Um, yeah, like you said, I think it's pretty straightforward. Reusing existing IO thread policy API to present this option to the users, also gated behind a new feature gate. Um, yeah, I know that there was that discussion between how we want to handle heavy hot plug operations and whether to make the recommendation to just use the supplemental pool policy, which I think makes sense instead of like doing any kind of restriction. Um, yeah, I think it just needs just a couple extra eyes to make sure any changes were added and it's complete, I guess. But yeah.
Sounds good. Um, I think that we don't want to go into the massive hot plug case in this flip. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think the entry point for a lot of these IO thread flows is like blog posts, like the one I linked in the review. So if we just um, make the recommendation public on these blog posts, people should know.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Oh, we have soft dates. Didn't
Mm.
realize that. Thank you for adding.
Yeah, I added those. I don't know when the PR actually gets merged, but I doubt that there'll be much drama around those, so I would regard those as fairly official at this point.
Cool.
I think it'll move a few weeks. I talked to Federico before this meeting, mentioned something about the release being postponed,
Hmm.
which is good because it basically leaves us a month as it
Mm-hmm.
is right now, and this PR is oh, this PR is up to date. Okay, I guess we will see, but yeah, it's probably roughly correct. And a month for the VIPs should be fine, now that I think about it. Just give me a second. Okay, back sharing now. Um, do we have somebody to talk about declarative VM state PVC? I haven't had a chance to look, to be honest. I assume it's kind of like a prerequisite for CBT, so I should have checked it
Yeah, it
under
should
the
be Alvaro, who's not with us today.
right. Um, I don't see why we wouldn't take it into 110. But I didn't look at the web yet. So I guess let's just go for the third one for now. Do we have Noam?
Yeah, hi. Um, yeah, I've been progressing with creating a POC that works and kind of is in a good state. The only big issue, and it's a very big issue I have, is with if VM crash, then I'm kind of losing the attachments to the utility volumes, something that Michael raised. And I've been trying to brainstorm a lot about how to solve this. Currently, I don't think we have a good thing like an existing thing we can use to solve this, because eventually, for example, if we compare it to CBT, then after a VM crash, we basically just mark the backup as failed, and those utility volumes are disappears, and the PVC is like the customer responsibility to try the backup again. But in our case, where we actually diverge, all the writes to the overlay, then when we try to recover, then we have to do that process ourselves. So I've added a comment to the Jira ticket with some of possibility, like some of solutions that I was thinking about. But still, any solution has its drawbacks. So if anyone have good ideas on how we can tackle this, because yeah, I mean the recovery from crash is super important. We don't want a VM snapshot operation to cause any harm to a VM.
So
Uh, yeah,
if I may, like
yes,
the worst case scenario of not recovering them is you get essentially a de facto revert to snapshot, right? You would go back to the point at which you took the snapshot if you just
right.
discarded the contents of the utility volumes. Um, which
That's right.
is and the period of time that we expect to elapse between, I mean, it's a convergence window, which I believe we were, correct me, but I think we were working with the libvirt folks to get the, um, I don't have the words to describe it, but they're able to switch into a mode that will actually slow VM writes down in order to guarantee
Yeah,
convergence of the write back or the block commit.
right. But this is from what I understood, is not a blocker to start working on the feature. It's going to be like an addition to make it more robust.
Hmm.
I know that the ticket was assigned, but I'm not sure. I will need to check what its status.
Hmm.
But I'm working in parallel to whatever they're doing, and obviously it's going to take time until something like this will get into an official version of Cumulus and Libvirt. So
Yeah. Do
yeah.
you does your vet prescribe, is there a, are we keeping the old VM snapshot method and then opting into
Yes.
this new approach?
Yes, so we decided to add like a another field that will basically suggest if you're using the new external snapshot or not.
Okay.
So the user will be able to choose, and of course there will be a feature gate and everything. So
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
I think that it might be okay depending if this becomes a problem that you can't solve quickly enough in order to meet the VEP freeze. I think one thing that we learned from CBT is that
Mhm.
you can have VEP extensions and you can have in alpha grade, the recovery is an open question. So, like, we should probably try to figure out how to solve that if it's possible to do that. But I think that there's enough safeguards in place that things could be introduced in alpha with that as an open question or part of follow up work. So
Mhm.
just keep that in mind. Like, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, if we struggle on that one.
Sure.
But maybe you have some ideas on recovery already in terms of um, how to how to. I guess we probably wouldn't get help from libvirt to recover that data. Maybe we would.
So I think that the real question is how to reattach the PVC. So
Mm,
that's, I mean, eventually the actual block commit operation is not the part where I'm having issues because that can, we can do retries. I even tried under heavy IO load to see what's happening, and yeah, there is a possibility for it not to converge. Um, and then the pivot cannot happen quite
mhm,
as we expected. But eventually, I was able like to finish the. It was waiting for like 3 to 4 minutes until the block commit eventually happened.
mm,
So yeah, I've been trying those type of error, edge cases. But again, the real issue is upon crush, I'm just losing all the utility volume.
yeah,
And then we have to somehow reattach the PVC and continue the block commit, either offline or online. But yeah, that's the current.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I suppose I can read the VEP, or I think where I have a little gap in my knowledge of utility volumes and how they work, and whether you can actually um, somehow name a specific PVC that you know about as a utility volume again, and cause it to be reattached. But I guess it sounds like
Yeah,
we need to design it
unfortunately
here.
it has to be hot plugged. We cannot create like a VMI. The meter will reject it if you have existing utility volumes there.
Hmm.
Yeah, I have a bit of a different uh, angle here. And I've been wondering this since the bit was introduced, like how far can we get without this web, but with a lot of support from the driver maintainers, for example, in the Windows case. Um, what, how far would it get us if they bypass this
Mhm.
VSS timeout?
Mhm. I mean,
It's just very
again,
complex to have like two different paths depending on a feature gate to do a snapshot.
um, that's probably right. I think that recommendation for Windows machines is going to be like to use these external snapshot if when it will be ready.
Yeah.
Um, but again, it doesn't always happen. Um, Obviously, we can finish the VM snapshot under 10 seconds, and then everything works fine with the current implementation of VM snapshot. It's just that the idea of freezing a file system for long periods of time is not a good thing. We don't want to for it. It
Yeah.
wasn't designed for it, right? So
Yeah, Alex, if you
yeah.
look at other systems like VMware, even OpenStack, Overt, other virtualization systems. I don't know exactly what the standard freeze thaw cycle time is, but you're looking at under a second typically. It's not supposed to be frozen for the actual taking of the snapshot. It's supposed to be frozen for a a quiesce period only. And so um, even if we somehow got the drivers to be faster, the time that it's going to take any reasonable storage provider to actually do a snapshot is already too long, based on best practices. So we're always going to be punching from behind on that implementation. I guess we've gotten away with it for a long time, but I do think that uh, that as we are onboarding more and more workloads into KubeVirt, we're going to see more and more that are sensitive to the amount of time, because it's like an order of magnitude longer that we wait, that we freeze that. So it's just not, even if we optimize it, it's still probably not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Mikhail suggested that this will eventually can be extended to like taking a full snapshot of it with including the memory, which is a possibility. That
Exactly.
can
Yep.
be
There's,
nice to have in
in
the
case we
future.
need that.
Yeah.
And it's also potentially good for Alexander's here, but he and I had some discussions at one point about how this exact capability might enable some array accelerated operations for storage migrations and things like that too. So I think there's some decent use cases for it once we can get the, like, it's complex, but I think you will see eventually everyone using external snapshots and nobody using the sort of naive approach that we started with.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and just 2 points from my end. There are some storage providers where a snapshot takes minutes, in particular cloud ones. I think AWS sometimes takes like 2 minutes to make a snapshot. So,
Yeah.
and then for the storage accelerated stuff, I was thinking slightly different approach. I only need to track which blocks have changed. I don't actually care about the contents, and with this, you do care about the contents. So I can get away with just tracking the blocks that have changed since my quote unquote snapshot. So,
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sounds good. So I'd say this is a candidate for 110,
I
right?
think we should. I'm sorry, Alex. I mean, if it's not already in here, I would just suggest that, at least for the time being, we document it as like an open issue, something that may or may not be solved at the alpha level, but that we recognize needs to get solved before it can advance to any next level.
You mean before we move to beta?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so maybe we can solve it in one shot. Maybe you'll have some kind of breakthrough on the recovery, crash recovery bit. But if we don't, we should at least have it marked here, and maybe it can be accepted with that caveat that essentially, if there is a crash, it causes an automatic revert to the snapshot that you took, as opposed to being able to recover until we can fix it further. So that, I mean, that's bad. Like probably we wouldn't want to go to beta with that, but I think we can go to alpha with that.
I just noticed alpha is targeted 111. Is that desired, Norm?
I think that's what I got from Natalie, but I will need to double check with her. What did you expect? 110?
No, I mean it works for 111 as well. I guess
I
you
mean,
can take the, yeah.
if you can deliver the alpha quality implementation
In 110,
in
yeah.
time for 110, then it could
For
presumably
sure.
target there. But
Mhm.
you know, I would, if you think there's even a chance, it's much easier to slip that and put a follow up PR that changes it to 111 than it would be to bump it forward. So, but that really depends on, like, you'll be the primary author of the PR, so you'll have to think if your capacity allows for that based on those dates that are posted.
Okay, yeah, so it's totally up to you. I was thinking maybe it would be easier to like Adam's suggesting, targeting a smaller set of requirements for 110, and then during the 11 cycle you can do like the real heavy lifting. For 110 you can, like focus on POC and maybe like the happy path. But it's up to you. Like I wasn't suggesting that you'd need to go one way or the other.
They're
Yeah, it's really
sorry.
go ahead, Noam. I can
I'm just
interject at
saying,
the
like,
end.
I will, whatever something is ready, I will deliver it, not holding anything back. So as soon as something is ready, if it's ready for 110, deliver
Okay.
it. Sure.
And Adam, did you want to add something?
No, I mean, I think that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, let's shoot for it. And I think that this pattern of incremental delivery of stuff is going to be better. Like, storage has been doing some massively huge, monumental changes in KubeVirt over the last few releases, and I just think we learned a few things. With if delivering pieces at a time. So let's go for it. Let's not be afraid. It doesn't have to be. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. That's why we have an alpha, and that's why we have feature gates.
Cool. Okay, thank you. And I guess we have anybody that joined since to talk about CBT? Um, as far as I know, this list is
I
correct.
mean, Alexander's has gotten himself involved a little bit more of late, though I'll leave it up to him if he wants to weigh in on any of the VEPs.
I'm just looking at the utility volume GA. That's the biggest one I'm looking at right now.
Okay. Is there anything that's interesting about like any blockers for it going BA?
Not that I'm aware of right now.
So I guess something just came into my mind, a connection between the previous conversation, but Alexander, it may make sense to sync up with Noam. He was talking about some issues regarding reconnecting specific utility volumes for that recovery flow. So it might be worth just having a bit of a technical deep dive with him on that to see, because if there would be something that we would want to put in there before we flip to GA on utility volumes, I guess now would be the time to consider that.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking that. I was a little confused about what he was talking about. So
Yep.
good with him. So
Yeah. I guess I can speak a little about the pull mode design. improval web. I think it's basically just standardizing the whole tunnel architecture with something that's more like KubeVirt native, which is abusing the virt handler to kind of do direct communication. I believe the numbers were great for like performance um, benchmarking. So to me, like the first one is a no-brainer. Multi-checkpoint, I think it's a must for 110. Offline incremental backup, I am not so sure.
I think offline is a strong push. I'm trying to recall what versions we were targeting. It's kind of complex. This is like that incremental delivery that I was talking about. I know that I think the main focus of the developers is really to stabilize essentially what's already been approved. And then, but yeah, we need to push forward with the VEPs because I think we wanted, if I recall correctly, we wanted both offline and multi-checkpoint to be beta by the time we get to like KubeVirt 112, if I remember correctly on that, but maybe even 1.11. So there is a bit of urgency on those, but that's sort of like the frontier work on the feature, while we can also really steadily focus on kind of those performance and stability improvements to what's already out there.
Cool. Okay, so we have OCI artifacts import. Do we still have Felix here?
Yeah, still here.
Hey.
Hey. Yeah, I wanted to bring a little attention to the OCI artifacts for the web. I was working with Michael and Alexander and also with Adi on this one. There's 3 phases, and phase 1 involves CDI. So we need support from CDI to import OCI artifacts. Specifically, Adi suggested to make it only based on layers, which I think it makes sense. So we have separate layers in those OCI artifacts, and we need to import them into PVC. So one layer is one disk. And for that, Adi suggested we should add a layer digest field to the data, what's it called? Data volume source registry, I think. And yeah, so I wanted to get some more eyes on it if possible. And I see that Adi has also started a PR on this yet, even though it's not merged yet. But yeah,
I can't recall.
Looks good to me. Yeah, sorry.
I can't recall. In the past, did we discuss using a different source type for this, or no? It was a different content type. We thought about using the content type field where we have today KubeVirt. We have KubeVirt or tar, or I mean archive are the 2 current ones, and then there was, I think maybe I had made the suggestion, that's why I'm remembering it, that there could be a different content type for like OCI in order to help the importer understand and take different import steps. I don't know if that ever made it into the VEP or not.
Not into the web, but I think into PR. Adi added some bits that allow detecting if it's tar or not. And if not, it's just feeding the raw stream and it's detecting from the header what the stream is. So if it's ZSTD compressed, and that's already part of his web, so sorry, PR, and it looks fairly trivial. So
Not a
Okay.
lot of changes needed to do that.
Yeah. I saw the CDI PR and didn't take a deep look or anything. Just browsed quickly. It's um, it's honest to this web, but yeah, I would just like to think about this part a little more. Just make sure this is the right way to go. I remember we talked about it in the unconference. I can't believe if we came up with any conclusions. I remember there was something missing from like Kubernetes, like the
Yeah, for node pull mode, it's not possible. You cannot mount those layers or those OCR artifacts. You cannot mount them to a pod. It's not just Kubernetes. It's also container runtimes would need to support mounting layers with custom media type.
Mhm.
So we started just with pod pull mode for now.
And that's a pretty major limitation because pod pull mode, at many times you won't have access to the registry secret that you need.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and it's also outlined in the web. But I don't see a way going around this for now or making it work. But I'm happy for other ideas.
But I think the use cases here are, rather than importing these artifacts from sort of your cluster connected registry, this is more of a public registry imports, or like supporting a workflow where you're importing maybe a template that you prepared somewhere else or something like that, right? So that it's not so much like from the cluster providers registry that you're importing from. Does that make sense? Or
Makes sense, but both actually. So both
okay.
use cases are valid. Yeah, and ideally would like to support the cluster vendor use case as well. So in the sense of like a catalog which ships like predefined appliances,
Yeah.
something like that would be great. But yeah, it's a known limitation for now.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a weird limitation, I think, for the new I forget how it's called, the new volume type in Kubernetes since 135. Image volumes, or is that the KubeVirt name? I forget the terminology.
Image volume should be the feature gate name. Yeah, or it's a KubeVirt name. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But exactly, this mode is not able to mount those artifacts because they are using a custom type. They're not using the tar or whatever it is, tar gzip standard artifact or media
Yeah.
type. That's why they cannot be mounted by the runtime already.
Do we have an idea on whether this needed support is being discussed in Kubernetes, or where it needs to happen? I mean, can we drive that discussion where it needs to happen in terms of an extension there? I'm
I saw
trying to
people bring
gauge
it
whether
up.
we.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I saw people bringing this ahead. So, there's other issues open that mention that, for example, people packaging their custom AI LLM models and they're not able to mount them, and so there's already some discussion going on. But you're right that we should try to steer this or to progress this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just in general, I always try to like look up the OCI spec and see that we're picking the right, like intuitively right API for CDI. Like if you look at the registry API today, pretty much mimics the OCI spec. It makes it so the user interacting with the data volume is feeling at home, like close to like the Docker CLI experience. So yeah,
Yeah,
just
good.
something I want to double check. Sorry.
Yeah, perhaps you could compare it to I think it's called ORAS, ORAS CLI. Perhaps that could be similar to that. So that's a CLI tool for packaging, uploading, or managing OCI artifacts in general.
Mm,
But again, those are using the well-known format, so those can actually be mounted by the image volume feature. But since we're using custom types here, they cannot be mounted.
interesting.
And the idea with the digest was to make the least amount of changes to CDI that are required to make this feature work. So it's just a digest. It's not even, or CDI wouldn't even be aware of the architecture of the image. It would just import what it's told to import, and the import controller would be able to or would be required to figure out the correct architecture. So that would also be part of the import CRD. You could specify the platform in there. It would try to resolve the correct digests, and it would tell CDI just to import the exact digest.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to make sure you were also aware of this work. Uh, I guess now we know it's not going to help much, but we have one of the folks on our team refactoring to use the image volume API under the hood for pull method node. But yeah, like you said, it's not going to help.
Yeah, I would really like it to help. It would be amazing if this feature could mount those images as well. But yeah, right now it can't.
I think uh, Itamar from KubeVirt, like the root maintainer, did some work on image volumes in Kubernetes, like a major bug fix or something like that. Maybe it's worth to involve him in the discussion. Maybe it will be easy. I doubt it will be easy. Like you said, it involves container runtime changes.
Yeah, I can tag him on the web, yeah. Or you can tag him however you like.
Yeah, let me do that. I believe he's out for like a month now, but anyway. Okay. But like on a high level, I think it makes sense for 110. Um, like the layer digest might make sense regardless of this, to be honest. Um, and this web is probably wider than just SIG storage. So if I can speak on the SIG storage part, I think we have no issue with targeting 110. Okay. Thank you. I think we have some more community ones like this one. Unsafe and directs in cache modes. The author is not here, but I'd say we've really extracted the juice from the author, and I don't know why we keep blocking it, or even if it is blocked, like it's kind of slipped 1.9, over the bureaucracy, but I think even me as one of the people like softly objecting, and I'm good with it for ages now, so I'm not sure why it's still pending. Um, yeah, take
Yeah,
a
I
look
mean,
at
I
it.
think it's like it reminds me of like having sharp knives in the drawer, you know, like it's pretty easy for somebody to hurt themselves with that. However, like you kind of have to know about the API, and we can probably document that, and maybe over time there are things we can add that uh, you know, create some additional safety around that. Like I think that cache modes are very difficult for a layperson to understand how to use correctly. So I do worry that people will, like end users will read some blog post somewhere about you can, you know, juice your storage performance by 50% if you use this setting. However, they might misread the requirements of the underlying storage and then wind up with data loss in the future with these kind of settings. But I think so long as they come with appropriate warning labels, we can give folks I think there's a compelling enough reason to uh, offer the options.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think there's a plan to change defaults or ship it in like instance types or something like that. They're just exposing it for the sake of a specific database, like Microsoft database workload.
Yep. And honestly, just as a heads up to folks, like I think, you know, KubeVirt you always start with the easy workloads. This happened to Kubernetes itself, right? All the obvious ephemeral easy workloads came to the platform first, and then slowly you onboard the more difficult ones. And for us, that's databases and highly tuned things. We will have more of these situations. So I think as a general idea, we should be mindful of how we extend the surface of the API and not make it confusing to new users. But yeah, we will have to do it.
Right. Take a look at. I believe it has the X, and one of the root approvers is holding it or something like that. So I'm not sure there's much we can do to progress it.
The implementation is there too, right? That's almost
Yeah.
ready to merge already. So
Yeah, I think it's been ready for pre-vet.
yeah.
Yeah, but it has a hold on it, and the web does too, I believe. We actually have raw IO, which I'm not sure about, from Michael. It was like targeted for 1.8 or 1.9. Also, didn't really understand why we gave up on it. Something about SCCs, I believe.
Yeah. The objections are mostly about downstream particulars, which is weird for, upstream, but yeah, that's what it came down to. And it's going to be tough. So we're looking into moving some of this like potential OpenShift specific stuff out of KubeVirt core, and that may make it easier to get stuff like this in. But there are challenges there as well. So um, yeah, future is unknown. And what sucks about this too is that this raw IO feature can't even be implemented with the new plugin model. So
How come?
the default, because we don't pass through the capabilities of the pot. So you this needs, extra Linux capabilities, the
Right.
RIO specifically, but we don't
Mm-hmm.
pass those through yet. We only do it for like net bind, I think. So because of that, um, and that whole capability passing just is not part of the plugin model right now. So,
Mm.
uh, and I don't know that they're planning to extend it for that or not, but because it seems like, because then, if you extend the capabilities, then that means, oh, you gotta update the SEC, which was the objective to RIO. So I don't even know if it doesn't seem to me that giving capabilities to the QMU process itself um, is something that was either thought of and rejected. I'm not sure.
I think the worry with SCC is a little on like the extra cautious side because you still have like there's no problem in your SCC being elevated, like the control plane SCC. But if you follow that OpenShift model where and I think you followed it, where you forget how it's done through a webhook or something, you check the
Yeah,
user
yeah, yeah,
context. I
yeah. I
don't
mean,
think there's a CV in there.
no, and the thing is, we're actually kind of technically violating. Yeah. So yeah, I think there are safe ways to do it. In my opinion. But yeah,
Well, I
it's a
think,
discussion.
yeah, I think we should try to um, present it in maybe on the Wednesday meeting and kind of push back. And that is if you want to target it. Like, I don't know if
Yeah,
anything changed since.
yeah. I think that maybe the plugin developers are saying, well, if you need anything that needs capabilities, you should be doing that in one of the node plugins, with the plugin model supports. But there's no support for giving extended capabilities to QMU itself, and I don't know if that was considered or not.
Yeah, it sounds like a bit of a rabbit hole, and this whole
Yeah.
thing kind
Mm.
of it may just justify an API, this raw IO stuff, like a
Yeah.
core API. So
Yeah, it
maybe we
just
should
sucks
just
that
push back.
yeah, it just sucks that the downstream complications are keeping from an upstream feature. But
Yeah.
because with like PSA and upstream Kubernetes, there's no real issue. Um, the namespace has the PSA. It'll run or not. But OpenShift just has this SCC model.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's I think we have enough to push back, like more than
Mhm.
enough to push back. I don't know if it'll work, but we can try this coming Wednesday.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, I'll try to make it.
yeah, so let me write that down. Here's a reminder. Assigned to me. Okay. Um, I had one open floor topic, but to be honest, we're really running out of time, and a bunch of us have a different meeting to attend to. So I guess I'll just ask if anybody has anything burning or blocking, any PRs to bring up. I think we've done a solid walkthrough on the VEPs. Okay. So I guess with that, thank you everybody for joining, and I will see you later. See you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.